Hi, it's Diana. And our story, the story that we're looking at is Best Friends for Frances. This book is also from my childhood. It was published, I'm gonna see if I can find it. It was published in 1969. So I was about 1 when it was published, and I think it's a husband and wife team. Russell Hoban and Lillian Hoban. Russell Hoban doing the writing and Lillian Hoban doing the illustrations. And it's similar to one of the books we already looked at, Ruby and Max and Ruby, because it's a series. So there are more than one Frances book. And also there's a sibling pairing in a lot of the books. Frances has a younger sister named Gloria. What else is it like besides being published long ago? It's a series. And the other thing is that the kids are the people are drawn as animals, or the characters are drawn as animals. Okay, so speaking of characters, there are several Badger characters in this book. The main character is Frances. We know that because her name is in the title. And also she does most of the acting. Let's see, then there's Gloria, who is Frances's little sister. Frances and Gloria's mom shows up, but she doesn't say anything. She packs their lunch, at least in this book. She doesn't really have a part, which is kind of like when we looked at in the Night Kitchen, when Mickey fell and he said something to his parents, but they never were, I was gonna say on camera, they were never on the page. Well, Frances's mom is on the page, but she doesn't say anything. She's a kind of silent support in the back. It's good to know that there's a mom around. Albert is Frances's friend. He is a neighbor badger who seems to be about Frances's age. He's also what we might call the antagonist in the story. He kind of causes the problem. Not exactly, it's hard to call it a problem, but and then there is another character whose name is Harold, I believe. Harold, and he is a friend of Albert's, and he does talk, but not much. So he's we would think of as a supporting character. So in this story, we have several triangles, and I don't want to do analysis, but it tells how the characters relate. So if we think of love triangles, we usually think of romantic relationships, but a love triangle or a relationship triangle doesn't have to be a romantic one. So in this book, they're friendship triangles, and the kids are trying to navigate being friends and being excluded. So we have a triangle of Frances and Gloria, her sister, and Albert, the friend. And we also have a triangle of Frances and Albert and Harold. All right, coming back to the story with the events. One thing I noticed, and I will say about books that were published when I was a kid, they have a lot more words now than I think of a picture book nowadays. When I was a kid, I didn't think, wow, this has got a lot of words. But now that I have something to compare, and when I go back, like, wow, picture books used to have a lot of words. Not good or bad, just fact or observation. Okay, so in the book, we have several events, and the reason I talked about the amount of words is because there are a lot of events. Now, if we look at the title, Best Friends for Frances, we know several things, or we can infer several things from just the title. One of the things is what I mentioned when I was talking about characters, and that is that Frances is the main character. This is a story about Frances. The other thing is we can infer that this is a story about friendship. Best Friends for Frances. So friendship. And the last thing that we can infer is that there's going to be more than one friend, because the word friend is plural. Best friends for Frances. Not one friend, but two friends. So we've set up. And it kind of goes back to what I talked about with triangles. So there's going to be, what it looks like there's going to be are friendships or friends trying to navigate how to be best friends together, as opposed to just a duo. So these are the events. It might take me a minute. Frances leaves the house and she wants to go play ball with Albert. And before she leaves, Gloria asks if she can go too. Remember, Gloria is Frances's little sister. And Frances says, no, you're too little. Okay, so we have an exclusion and asking to be included and being told no. And when Frances gets to Albert's house, he is on his way out, and he's going on an outing or an adventure. And she said, well, can I come too? And he says no. So he gives her two reasons. One, he says, the things I'm going to do, you can't do. And when Frances says, well, you could teach me, like, oh, no, it would just take too much time. I'm adding emphasis and like, okay. And the other thing he says is, I only have one lunch. And he describes the lunch. Now, there's so much food in this. I didn't realize, two things I didn't realize or didn't remember about this book. One, how much food is in this book. And two, that most of it is pretty healthy. So here's his big lunch. I'm gonna read it because the thing is about food too. So he has 4 or 5 sandwiches, some undetermined, but not one, some apples and bananas, 2 packages of cupcakes, and a quart of chocolate milk. Now, according to Albert, that's just enough for one person, one little boy, or one medium-sized boy. Sounds like a lot of food to me. So now what Frances just did with Gloria, said, no, you're too little. She kind of got that back. No, you can't do what I can do. So she goes home and she plays with Gloria in a way that Gloria can play. Then the next day, Frances tries again. She goes over to Albert's house to ask if he wants to hang out and play. And Albert is going to play with Harold, and they're going to play baseball. Now, you would think more people would be better, but he says it's a no girls game. No girls. So Frances can't play. So she goes home and again plays with Gloria, and then they figure out an outing that they can do that will be a no boys outing. And they come up with some activities that they're going to do. Frances learns that Gloria can do things that she can't do, like I think it's catch frogs and stuff like that. And then the mom makes the big old picnic lunch. They also make a sign that says no boys. No boys. No boys. So it's interesting that and now Frances and Gloria, they have their wagon filled with the picnic basket. That's what this is. And then some jars for catching frogs, and they're going to do sack races and some other things. That they parade by Albert's house with a sign loudly singing. One of the things I really like that Frances, I connect with Frances with, is she sings songs. She just makes up songs and as she goes along and sings. I did that a lot as a kid. I still do it as an adult. But this is not subtle. This is not, hey, let's sneak off without Albert. This is no boys, and we're going to make sure the boy knows he is excluded, and we're going to have a great time. So Albert does come outside. And he asks, what are y'all doing? What's in the picnic basket? And then comes that beautiful description of that wonderfully huge lunch. And very nonchalant. Is that, oh, I don't know. Some of this and some of that. And maybe all those others that Frances gives. Totally getting out of this idea of, I'm going to tempt you with my big lunch. So Albert of course he wants to join. It looks like they're going to have a lot of fun and they're going to have a lot of good food. And she gives him back all the reasons he gave her for saying no. No, the things we're going to do, you can't do, and it would take too long to teach you, and I just don't know if we have enough food. But Gloria says, yes, let's let him come. So Gloria becomes this bridge. She says, we can teach him how to do this, he can teach us how to do that, and we'll all share the food. And they have a great time. Now that could be the end of the story, but it's not the end of the story. It keeps going. So the next morning, Albert comes over and he brings a flower for Frances. And Gloria starts crying. And she cries because now that Albert and Frances have made up, and Albert seems to be specifically signaling out Frances with the flower, that she'll be excluded. It also makes me sad because that's what happens with little sisters. But instead of saying, you're right, this is big kids stuff, or we're going to go play games you can't do, they think of a way to play together again. And they invite Harold. So now all the triangles have merged. It's become a quad. There are 4 of them, and they're going to go play together. And that's the end. Let me get a picture of that. And one of the things that comes out in this story earlier is that it's not that Gloria doesn't have friends, it's that her friends are off on vacation or something, so she's feeling lonely. So here we have the 4 kids playing together, and we have them, I'm trying to think of the word, they're making room for each other. They're making allowances. They're not saying you can't do it. They're like, well, here, we'll help you bat, and I'll walk closer instead of you're just too little. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it all work together. And it doesn't say it, but maybe they go off and have a great big lunch after that. So that's the story, and I can't wait to get into the analysis and the food more.